In abbreviated bios, I've done a number of founding fathers, but today I'm doing a founding mother. She was a pamphleteer, a poet, a playwright, and the first historian of the American Revolution. Her name was Mercy Otis Warren. I'm Stephen Yoder, and this is Abbreviated Bios. Mercy Otis Warren was born to a well-to-do family on September 14, 1728 in Barnstable, Massachusetts. Her father was attorney James Otis Sr., and her mother was Mary Aline Otis. She was able to be tutored alongside her brother, future protest leader James Otis Jr. Mercy then continued her education by reading many of her uncle's book collection. Mercy was very fortunate in her marriage. She married James Warren in 1754. He encouraged her to become a writer. James would be elected to the Massachusetts legislature in 1766, and both would soon join the protest movement against British control of the colonies. Events such as the Sugar Act, the Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts, and the stationing of British troops in Boston, which resulted in the Boston Massacre, turned them against British rule. Her brother James protested against taxation without representation, and soon Mercy would be writing pamphlets for the Patriot cause. Once James was elected as a legislator, the Warrens began to host the leading citizens of Boston in their home, helping to create a network of those opposing British policies. She was the first to suggest the committees of correspondence to link the top Patriot leaders throughout Massachusetts. And you know what the committees of correspondence were. Paul Revere was one of those when he went out and shouted that the British were coming. Beginning in 1772, Mercy began anonymously writing a series of satirical plays criticizing and mocking Massachusetts Governor Thomas Hutchinson and Attorney General Jonathan Sewell. They were published anonymously to avoid ridicule for being a woman involved in politics. The first was The Adulator in 1772, which criticized Thomas Hutchinson as greedy and insidious, trading the liberties of his countrymen and women for British gold. She wrote The Defeat in 1773 and The Group in 1775. Her writings helped discredit British rule and create a mass movement of colonists defying the British. John Adams would describe her as a political genius. Once the revolution began, she wrote dramatic plays such as The Blockheads and The Motley Assembly, which criticized those Bostonians still loyal to the king. James said Mercy had the masculine genius of writing, yet Mercy was devoted to her children. They had 5 of them. She stated that whatever delight we may have in the use of the pen, however eager we may be in the pursuit of knowledge, yet heaven has so ordained the lot of female life that every literary attention must give place to family avocations. Once the war was won and the Articles of Confederation proved too weak, the Warrens opposed the Constitution as being a betrayal of the Revolution, a power grab by elitists. She wrote an anti-federalist pamphlet called Observations on the New Constitution in 1788. One of her main criticisms was that it had no Bill of Rights. That criticism was solved with the ratification of the Bill of Rights in 1791. Another important criticism seems especially important today. She stated, "There is no provision for a rotation in office, nor anything to prevent the perpetuity of office in the same hands for life." She is referring obviously to a lack of term limits. Today we have many congressmen and senators who entered office poor and served many decades in public service and have become rich over those decades. In 1790, she published her book, Poems, Dramatic and Miscellaneous. She was the 3rd American woman to publish a book of poetry. She came after Anne Bradstreet and Phyllis Wheatley. Her greatest accomplishment, however, was her 3-volume history of the rise, progress, and termination of the American Revolution in 1805. In it, she opposed slavery because it went against the principles upon which America was founded. Warren also accused Federalists as compromising on liberty. She accused John Adams of being partially in favor of monarchic government. Adams shot back that history is not the province of the ladies. Mercy, along with women like Abigail Adams, advanced the concept of Republican motherhood, the idea that women have an important role in raising their sons to be good citizens. Mercy Otis Warren died on October 19, 1814, at the age of 86. There's a statue of her in Barnstable, Massachusetts, and a Liberty ship, which was one of the ships delivering supplies in World War II, was named after her in 1943. Warren's political writing helped develop the mass movement that resulted in independence. She pushed the boundaries of American women's achievements in writing with her plays, poetry, and in publishing the first history of the American Revolution. She was one of our most accomplished founding mothers. Thank you for watching Abbreviated Bios. If you value this kind of program, please share with others. I'm on both YouTube and Rumble. Thank you very much.